Hello, hello, hello. I am Axel Cannon, and this is Stupid Game Experiments. Today, I have some really exciting news for you. You've probably already heard that YouTube has decided to remove the dislike counts on their videos. That's not my exciting news, but we'll come back to that in a moment. The exciting news is that this change by YouTube gave me an opportunity to do something I've wanted to do for such a long time. I finally have an excuse to unapologetically rip off this awesome idea I got from a Tom Scott video. A while back, Tom Scott created this video and then set up an API program to routinely update the title of the video with the number of views on the video. I thought this idea was absolutely brilliant, and I wanted to give it a try myself. However, I've been waiting to use it until I came up with a creative hook to use for the title. And now YouTube, in all their glory, has given me an excuse to shamelessly steal Tom Scott's amazing idea and use it for myself. That's right. All you have to do to see this in action for yourself is to hit that dislike button down below, and in just a few moments, the title of this video will update with the new dislike number. Okay, so maybe more than a few moments. It's only set to update every 5 minutes after all, so while you're waiting for that, let's talk about YouTube removing the dislike count. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Axel, your channel is about doing stupid game development experiments. What does that have to do with the YouTube dislike button? That's a very intelligent observation of you, viewer. I'm going to answer your insightful question by letting you in on a little secret that's going to blow your mind. Social media platforms are video games. To be clear, I don't mean this figuratively. I mean they are literally programmed to work just like video games do. It's a process known in the biz as gamification, which is when companies integrate game mechanics into their products. From a business perspective, you can see why this makes perfect sense. Video games have managed to turn one of the most boring tasks in the world, pushing buttons, into an experience so engaging that you can literally become addicted to it. And as your local heroin dealer will tell you, addiction is profitable. However, when it comes to profiting on addiction, your local heroin dealer has nothing on the big social media platforms. They've turned gamification into an art form, and they literally use some of the most advanced technology in the world to get you to keep playing their game. YouTube is obviously no exception to this. As a viewer, the gamification elements can be a little more subtle. They mostly use their advanced artificial intelligence program to keep viewers mainlined with content they might like. But there are also things like the notifications bell that lets you know every time there's a new prize to collect, such as your favorite creator uploading a new video or someone liking one of your comments. As a creator, however, the gamification elements are turned up to 11. You have so many ways of keeping score with how well you're playing the YouTube game. Hourly view counts, subscriber counts, comments, likes, dislikes, and so much more. Being a creator on YouTube is like being a lab rat with a whole fleet of electrodes plugged right into the dopamine generators in your brain, and you're just waiting for those buttons to get pushed. So when YouTube announces that they're removing the dislike count in an effort to protect creator mental health, you might be tempted to celebrate this as a step in the right direction. However, this is kind of like your heroin dealer telling you how to keep from overdosing. They're not really worried about your health, or they'd stop selling you the drug in the first place. They just don't want you to die before they've gotten everything they can out of you. If you think I'm exaggerating, imagine for a moment that a video you created was being mass downvoted and ask yourself this: what is the healthiest possible reaction I could have to this happening? However, before you answer that, I need to let you in on a little insider secret about how YouTube works. A big part of winning the YouTube game as a creator involves getting YouTube to recommend your videos to as many people as possible. In order to do this, you need to maximize user interaction with your video. User interactions include things like clicking on your video, how long they watch the video for, commenting on the video, liking the video, and most critically for our purposes, disliking the video. That's right, YouTube counts dislikes as a positive indicator to promote a video. So when you dislike a video, you are actually helping to make that video more popular. And from a creator perspective, dislikes are practically as good as likes. In fact, creating content that people love to hate is an incredibly successful strategy for building a YouTube channel. Just ask Logan Paul. He's literally bragged about it.
My strategy here, we did it in Flat Earth, and I'm sort of hesitant to even say this, but I believe this phenomenon will be a recurring theme in society. I bank on the naivety of old people and millennials to perpetuate my brand, make me go viral, and keep me relevant in circumstances like this. Knowing that feeling they get when they tweet out the fuck Logan Paul, or they hop on that bandwagon, that little dopamine spike that runs through their body. No, they love it, and I know they love it,
and love it too.
And they'll never not love it. They'll always feel the need to put that tweet out, rally the troops, get their army behind them, get the retweets and the followers, and keep me relevant. The same people who are going, Logan Paul's trending? I thought he was irrelevant last year. Like, thank you. Because of you, I stay relevant.
Regardless of whether you like Logan Paul as a person, you can't deny he's been successful at promoting himself on YouTube and elsewhere. So returning to our earlier question, what is the healthiest possible reaction you could have to being mass downvoted? The first answer should obviously be to say, so what? It is incredibly unhealthy to have your feelings of self-worth tied to what random people on the internet think of you. So the healthiest thing you can do on any social media platform is to mentally detach yourself from what happens on those platforms. Obviously, sometimes this is easier said than done, but it's actually much easier to do when your video is getting mass disliked, because as I just pointed out, being mass disliked is actually a huge win for you. So the healthy response to getting mass downvoted is to celebrate. It means your video is going to get promoted to way more people. Sure, a bunch of them are going to be people that don't like your video, but who cares? Those people aren't going to stick around anyway. However, a good portion of the new people seeing your video will also be people that really like your video and therefore are more likely to stick around in the future. It's worth noting here some research that OkCupid did years ago regarding profile pictures. They compared how profile pictures were rated with how many messages that person received. They found that the more people disagreed about what a picture should be rated, with a lot of people giving it 5s and a lot of people giving it 1s, the more engagement that profile received. The reason for this is that the things that make some people really like you can also be the things that make other people really dislike you, and vice versa. However, rather than worrying about what the people that dislike you think, your best bet is to actually emphasize the things that make you stand out, because you will get that much more engagement. This exact same phenomena happens on YouTube. Videos and creators that stand out are more likely to get polarized reactions, and those polarized reactions lead to more engagement. So not only is it best for a creator's mental health if they're not emotionally invested in people's reactions to their videos, it's actually beneficial to their channel if they emphasize the things that will turn some people off but will cause other people to really love their content. Finally, it's worth noting one other healthy response to your video getting mass downvoted, and that is to own it. If people's response to your video makes you realize that you may have legitimately screwed something up, then just make another video apologizing and do what you can to correct your mistake. From a mental health perspective, owning your mistakes and doing what you can to correct them without beating yourself up over it is an incredibly healthy response. Okay, so now that we've come up with some healthy responses to getting mass disliked, what is probably the least healthy response you can have? The obvious answer should be to take all of those dislikes personally and to internalize them as a representation of your self-worth. And yet, by YouTube removing the dislike count, this is the response they have endorsed creators having to being mass disliked. They're saying that it's perfectly reasonable to be emotionally tied to the metrics of your YouTube channel. By supposedly trying to protect creators from experiencing negative emotions in relation to being disliked, they have promoted the idea that accepting these negative emotions is a perfectly valid reaction, rather than it being the incredibly unhealthy reaction that it is, and promoting healthy ways for creators to deal with events like this. However, none of this should be terribly surprising. YouTube wants creators addicted to their channel's YouTube metrics because it gets creators to keep creating content which viewers watch and YouTube makes money from ads on. However, if creators fall into an emotional spiral when they get mass disliked, this can cause them to stop making content as well. So the obvious solution from YouTube's perspective is to limit the potential for emotional spiraling, not to help creators stop being addicted to their YouTube metrics. Equally obvious is that YouTube would want to paint this as them helping creators rather than, say, them preventing addicts from hitting rock bottom so they can finally get some help. The irony of all this is that removing the dislike count is probably going to have the exact opposite effect on creators' mental health. The premise behind removing the count is that doing so will remove the incentive for people to mass dislike videos because they won't get the reward of seeing the dislike count go up. However, remember that YouTube has gamified the viewer experience as well and trained people to get their hit of dopamine by interacting with videos. If viewers can't get their fix from clicking on the dislike button, then what are they going to do? The assumption that YouTube seems to be making is that they're all just going to go away. For a certain percentage, that's probably true. However, there's also going to be a large percentage of people that would have settled for the dislike button when they were contributing to the number going up, but now that they can't satisfy their fix with this lesser drug, they're going to turn into something harder, namely the comment section. So ask yourself this, my obviously vastly intelligent viewer: which is likely to negatively affect a creator's mental health more? A bunch of impersonal dislikes or a bunch of personalized attacks in their comment section? Of course, Google and YouTube have tons of really intelligent people working there, which means they have to know all of this. So if I was being really cynical, I might even suggest that this move actually has nothing to do with creator mental health at all. I might suggest that this move was really done to protect large brands from facing the consequences of negative backlashes on YouTube in an effort to make the website more corporate friendly. This is because negative comments can be removed on a case-by-case basis. This doesn't help creators' mental health because they're still reading the comments before they remove them. However, it does allow large brands to remove any negative feedback from their videos. Up until now, viewers could still dislike a video and the brand had no control over that number. So by removing the dislike counts, YouTube has basically given large brands complete control over suppressing any negative feedback they receive on YouTube. So yeah, YouTube removing the dislike numbers probably won't help anyone except for big corporations, and is bad for pretty much everyone except YouTube and said corporations. Oh, and I guess it was good for me too, because I got to finally steal Tom Scott's idea. Speaking of which, we've probably killed enough time for the title of this video to update, so you can go check that out now. Oh, I may have forgotten to mention that you need to refresh the video to get the title to update, so you should probably go do that now. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.